In the land of Obanwan, a prosperous Igbo village surrounded by lush green hills and flowing rivers, there lived a princess named Amaka. Her beauty was legendary, and her radiant skin glistened like the morning sun. Her long, flowing hair and sparkling eyes captivated anyone who dared to look at her. But for all her outward beauty, Princess Amaka's heart was cold. She was the only daughter of King Izuto and Queen Nakem, rulers beloved by their people. Unlike her parents, however, Amaka was known far and wide for her cruelty and arrogance. She relished her power, demanding absolute loyalty and endless praise from the villagers. Anyone who dared to speak against her was either banished from the palace or humiliated in public. The elders of Obanwan, who were known for their wisdom and guidance, had approached her countless times. A princess must lead with humility and compassion, they often said. But Amaka would scoff and wave them off. One day, her father, King Izuto, summoned her to the royal chambers. Sitting beside the queen, he said, "Amaka, my daughter, this is not how a ruler behaves. The people fear you, and fear is not the same as respect. Change your ways before it is too late." But Amaka laughed. "Father, do not worry about the people. They only fear me because they know I am strong. That is what a leader must be, strong and unshaken." The queen sighed deeply. "Strength without kindness is emptiness, my child. You must learn to listen to the voice of your people." Amaka ignored their advice. She continued to treat the villagers with disdain. She mocked the men, calling them ordinary hunters and farmers, unworthy of her presence. She rejected all suitors, saying no man was handsome, wealthy, or powerful enough for her. She often gazed at her reflection in her golden mirror and whispered to herself, "No one can match my beauty. I am the jewel of Obanwan." One fateful day, a young man named Chinadu arrived in Obanwan. He was unlike any man the villagers had ever seen. Tall, with broad shoulders and a confident stride, he had a charm that was hard to resist. His smooth voice and polite manner immediately drew attention. Amaka noticed him during one of her walks through the market. She had gone there, as she often did, to bask in the villagers' forced admiration. But this time, all eyes were on Chinadu. Jealous and intrigued, she approached him. "And who might you be?" she asked, her tone both curious and haughty. Chinadu bowed slightly. "I am Chinadu, from the distant village of Agbada. I've come to Obanwan to trade and perhaps find a wife." His boldness surprised her. "A wife, you say? Do you think any woman here is good enough for you?" Chinadu smiled, his gaze steady. "Perhaps, but I am yet to meet her." For the first time in her life, Amaka felt her heart flutter. Chinadu's confidence and handsome face disarmed her. She decided she would make him hers, though she pretended to play hard to get. Over the next few weeks, she found reasons to be near him, inviting him to the palace for feasts and strolls through the royal gardens. Chinadu, ever charming, seemed to share her growing affection. Before long, he proposed to her. "Princess Amaka," he said one evening under the glow of the moon, "you are the most beautiful woman I have ever seen. Will you marry me?" The words thrilled her. She accepted immediately, though her parents were wary. King Izuto and Queen Nakem questioned Chinadu about his village and background, but his answers were vague. "Agbada is a small, humble place," he would say, "but it is rich in beauty and peace." Despite their reservations, the wedding was arranged. Amaka, blinded by love and excitement, dismissed her parents' concerns. "Father, mother, I have made my decision. Chinadu is the man I will marry," she declared. The villagers watched the grand wedding with mixed emotions. Some hoped that love might soften Amaka's heart, while others worried about the mysterious man who had captured their princess's attention. On the morning after the ceremony, Chinadu announced that he would take Amaka to his village. "It is time for you to see Agbada, my home," he said. Amaka, eager to begin her new life, followed him without question. As their carriage disappeared into the distance, King Izuto and Queen Nakem stood at the palace gates, their hearts heavy with unease. The journey to Agbada was long and strange. The lush landscapes of Obanwan faded into dense, dark forests. The air grew colder, and an eerie silence surrounded them. Amaka's excitement began to waver, but Chinadu reassured her with his charming smile. "Do not fear, my love," he said. You will find Agbada to be unlike anything you have ever known." Amaka nodded, trying to ignore the growing unease in her heart. When they finally arrived, the sight before her made her blood run cold. Amaka stepped out of the carriage and gasped. Agbada was no ordinary village. It was dark and lifeless, with twisted trees and shadowy figures lurking in the distance. The once charming Chinadu now seemed distant and cold. "Welcome to your new home," he said, his smile no longer comforting but sinister. Amaka's instincts screamed at her to run, but before she could move, Chinadu grabbed her wrist firmly. "There's no turning back now, princess," he said. His grip sent a chill down her spine. He led her into a massive, crumbling mansion at the center of the village. The air inside was thick, and faint whispers echoed through the hallways. Amaka tried to remain calm. "Chinadu, what is this place?" she asked, her voice trembling. "This is my kingdom," he replied, his voice void of the warmth it once held. "And these," he gestured to a large wooden door at the end of the hall, "are your new companions." Before Amaka could protest, Chinadu threw the door open. Inside, dozens of women, beautiful and regal, were chained to the walls. Their eyes were hollow, their faces pale. They looked like shadows of their former selves. Amaka's heart sank as she realized they were prisoners. Who are they?" she stammered. "They were once like you," Chinadu said casually. "Proud, vain, and obsessed with their beauty. I gave them what they wanted: attention, admiration, and love. But now, they serve a greater purpose." "What purpose?" Amaka whispered, her fear growing. Chinadu's face darkened. "Their beauty feeds me. Every month, I drain their youth and vitality to keep myself alive. I am not a man, Amaka. I am a spirit cursed to walk this earth, feeding on vanity and pride." Amaka recoiled, her mind racing. "You tricked me," she screamed, her voice echoing through the room. Chinadu chuckled. "Did I? You fell for me so easily. Your pride blinded you, just as it blinded them." Amaka's knees buckled, and she collapsed to the floor. For the first time in her life, she felt powerless. She thought of her parents, her village, and all the warnings she had ignored. "What will you do to me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Chinadu leaned closer, his eyes glowing faintly. "You will stay here, like the others. Your beauty will sustain me. Over time, you will fade, just as they have. It is the price for your arrogance." But Amaka was not ready to accept her fate. Though she had been vain and cruel, a fire of defiance burned within her. She decided she would fight, even if it meant risking everything. That night, while Chinadu was distracted, Amaka approached one of the women. "How long have you been here?" she asked. The woman, whose voice was weak, replied, "Many years. He keeps us trapped, but his power comes from the necklace he wears. Destroy it, and you destroy him." Amaka's mind raced. She had noticed the strange necklace around Chinadu's neck, a black pendant that seemed to glow faintly. She resolved to act quickly. The next day, Amaka played along, pretending to accept her fate. She smiled at Chinadu, praised his kingdom, and even asked to dine with him. Chinadu, amused by her sudden compliance, let his guard down and released her to dine with him. During the meal, Amaka waited for her chance. As Chinadu leaned forward to pour her a drink, she grabbed the pendant and yanked it from his neck. Chinadu roared in pain, his form shifting from a handsome man to a ghastly spirit. "You dare betray me," he bellowed. Amaka didn't answer. She stepped backward and threw the pendant to the ground and smashed it with a heavy stone. The room erupted in blinding light, and Chinadu let out a final, ear-piercing scream before vanishing into thin air. The chains on the women fell away, and their youthful appearances returned. The mansion began to crumble, and the women, including Amaka, ran for their lives. When Amaka finally emerged from the ruins, the sun was rising. She looked back at the village of Agbada, now nothing more than a barren wasteland. She returned to Obanwan, humbled and repentant. Facing her parents and the villagers, she fell to her knees and wept. "Forgive me," she said. "I was blind to my faults, but I have learned my lesson. I will spend the rest of my life making amends." The people of Obanwan, though wary, saw the sincerity in her heart. Over time, Amaka transformed into a kind and just leader, earning the respect and love of her people. As for Chinadu and the cursed village of Agbada, they became a cautionary tale, a reminder that pride and vanity could lead to one's downfall. Years later, Amaka often sat with the village children, telling them her story. She would end with these words: "True beauty is found in kindness and humility, not in mirrors or praises. If you forget this, the spirits will remind you." The children listened, wide-eyed, and the lessons of Princess Amaka lived on for generations.